right?
I think so.
But I mean, so how long was the interview?
It's about an hour. It's
An
about
hour. So for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Onijah. What's her last name? Robinson?
I think Robinson. Yeah.
Robinson. Onijah Robinson. She's the woman in Pakistan that has gone viral and is back in New York City.
She's
doing
back.
It's like she's on a media tour.
She is on a media tour, and we spoke about that, right? Because I asked her, like, how are you handling this newfound fame, right? And is it all for gimmick, or is this who you truly are?
Right.
And she said that this is her, 1,000%. I mean, listen, she's a Brooklyn girl. She's from East New York, traveling to Pakistan.
East New York.
East New York, Brooklyn girls.
East New York in Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
That's
East New York in Pakistan.
That's big in itself,
Yes,
right?
yes,
because
yes.
New York girls have a different type of
Energy.
Yeah. So I think what was fascinating about her going to Pakistan is that they got to see what Brooklyn really,
what East New York really is.
Yeah, exactly. But what was interesting about our conversation is that the cameras caught the tail end of her being there. She was already there.
For how long?
For like 7 to 9 months.
No, she wasn't.
Yes, she was.
She was in Pakistan for 7 to 9 months?
Yes, and as she was leaving is when the cameras captured
The press
her.
conference and everything.
Yes.
So is she married?
She is 1,000% married.
This is
We'll
what she
talk
says.
about that. Yes.
She has
So
proof?
I asked for the proof.
Right.
So apparently she did an online marriage where you could get a marriage certificate in Utah. Utah is different, right? Because
I've never been to Utah, so I have no idea.
So Utah
no idea.
is home of like brothels and like, different things can happen in Utah. So when she said Utah, I was like, that's believable because there's a lot of different things you can
Happening in Utah
that kind of makes sense, right? So she said before she went to Pakistan, she had gotten married.
In Utah.
Online.
First of all, what in God's name was she doing in Utah?
She didn't go to Utah.
Oh, okay.
She filed the paperwork online.
Okay.
Through Utah. And went through the
got
court
it.
systems through Utah.
How can you do that?
Apparently you can if you in that state. Like I said, Utah is a different type of state. So they did all the paperwork online prior to her going to Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
She had been talking to this guy she met through AT&T.
Did she show you a picture of this man?
She did, off camera.
Okay.
And he
but on
does
camera,
exist.
she didn't show you. So
No.
So the audience, we don't know who her man is.
Apparently he's been doing interviews. He did a podcast recently. He did something with the Shade Room recently. So he exists.
And he says he's married to her, or he says he doesn't?
He says
not.
he's married to her. He says he's married to her.
Okay.
But now she has like a social media team. She has a manager. She has like a lot going on. She is definitely getting to the bag. We discussed all of that. We discussed, too, in detail, her pregnancy, because she was pregnant by him and had a miscarriage in Pakistan. So when we saw her going to the hospital, I was like, people were saying that you were actually going into a mental facility,
Right.
mental health facility. She said, no, she had a miscarriage, which I didn't know. Did you know that on the internet?
I didn't know this. But
So I was like, is this 1,000% honest that you're telling me? She said, yeah. She was just like, that's when she was admitted into the hospital. And I asked her about her son, and she did confirm. She does have a son, one that currently lives with her and another one that lives with his father. And the father has custody of him. But I asked her.
She has two sons.
She has two sons. I said, the son that came out lives with her. And I said, he was concerned that there's some mental health issues with you. And she said, no, she's not mentally unstable. There's no mental health issues. I was like, were there any in the past? Are you currently taking any medication? What is your mental health status?
Right.
And she was very open about not having any mental health issues. So yeah, you gotta. I'm planning on dropping. I am going to drop that interview ASAP.
I cannot wait to see this interview.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. The reality show producer in me wants to know more.
Well,
because
she is coming out.
I know.
She's coming out
there
with
is
a
something
Lifetime
coming.
movie.
I know.
A documentary about her life. She's coming
it's
out.
coming. Because you got to be on a press run for a reason, right?
Well, she's trying to get all of her ducks in a row. I like people are sending her like TikTok stuff to do for their businesses and stuff like that. And you know, she just has to be careful of not being overexposed, because when there's no real sustainability to your celebrityism,
Yes.
you go up really fast and you crash really quickly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, you know, I believe that the media is one big circus.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a really good example. So I'm tuned in to see what happens with her, because I want to see all of this. But I want to verify that a lot of the things that I'm reading online and even that she's saying, I want to verify that it's true. Like, I want to know, like, let me see your license. Okay, that's your name? Okay,
Because
let me see
even-
your husband's information. Like, I got to verify this stuff.
Even like in Dubai, right? And I asked her, I said, you were off social media
Right.
for a long time, for at least a couple of weeks when you were going from Pakistan and you
Right.
got off the plane to Dubai. And she was saying that her husband was on vacation in Dubai and that's why she stopped in Dubai. And I was like, well, were you arrested in Dubai? Because the
Right.
rumor was that you were arrested
right.
in Dubai because of public noise nuisance or something like that.
Right.
And the rules obviously are really strict in
Yes.
Dubai. And she said, no, she wasn't in jail. And I said, well, were you in a holding facility?
Right.
Did the government hold you?
Where were you?
Where were you? And she was like, she was at a hotel. And I said, well, was it a government hotel? And she said, yes. And I said, well, did you get a chance to see your husband
Right.
at the time? And she said, yes. And she went on to say, like, the husband bought her a ring and it was a red ruby. And listen, you know, I asked specific questions.
Right.
Whether they're her truth or not.
Right.
You know, I asked.
It's definitely her truth.
I felt
It's
right.
definitely
I
her
felt
truth.
like I asked the questions that people
Wanna
really
know.
wanted to know, and I was contemplating on whether or not I really wanted to do that
Really?
interview. Yeah, I did.
Why? Tell me why.
Because I feel like sometimes
We're
so
feeding it,
quick
like,
to
yeah.
like make someone a celebrity, and it's like, well, what have they done to earn
Right.
that title
Right.
of celebrityism, right? But
Right.
I know we live in a different age now. I
Right.
get it, 1,000%. And so I did it because, you know, I have a crew of producers on my radio show,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we talk about topics and we talk about interviews. And some interviews I'm like, no, like I turn down a lot that if I'm not really interested. Because
Right.
I've been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
I kind of earned the right to like
Say yay or nay.
yeah,
Absolutely.
say nay or yay or do the interviews that
Yeah.
I really like doing.
Right.
And so I was on the fence about this one. And so I asked my crew, I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? And they were like, yes, we want to know. And like, you know,
Everybody do
I
wanna
have
know.
like a lot of young people that
Right.
work with me. And so they're like, yes, I mean, we really want to know, like, is she really married? And like, who is this guy? And where did they meet? And how did he get her number? And like, because it was weird because she had a business that she was looking to get phones for. You know, like you call your company, you call AT&T, your phone carrier, and then she met this guy. You know how these people outsource
Yes.
labor to other countries because it's cheaper. And that's how she met
That's
him.
how they met.
So I said, so how did he get your number? Because when you call into these call centers, they don't just automatically like give out your information
right.
like that. And she was like, she was on the phone with him for hours and then he called her back afterwards. So I was like, so did you give him your personal number during these conversations? Because they don't normally allow that to happen. And she's like, no, he had my number from the call. And I'm like, okay, but how did he think that it was okay to call you afterwards? You know what I mean?
Yes. So Lifetime, she's saying that Lifetime is doing...
No, she's not Lifetime. She's doing her life.
her Lifetime. I thought we meant Lifetime, the network. Got it.
No,
so,
her life documentary.
So she's doing her documentary.